Zenju is my Dharma name. The name means complete tenderness. I am part of the Suzuki Roshi lineage and the WILD, Wild Women. Wild Women of Zen. Everything is just a passageway. Even Zen is just a passageway. I'm not becoming Zen. I'm not being Zen. My younger sister, she knows me as loving being an African and teaching her how to love being an African. I think I was just talking about Buddhism, and she said, well, what does Buddhism have to do with Black people? And I paused. I'm finding that I have a home in the Bay Area and I have a home in New Mexico. I would say that my base spiritual community is the San Francisco Zen Center where I'm ordained. I have other communities in terms of where I teach, but right now I'm teaching mostly at the East Bay Meditation Center in downtown Oakland. All kinds of people from every background come to the center, and it's very community-oriented. There, and that's the best place to be. I teach at the people of color group Sangha sometimes, at the queer Sangha, and they also give me a chance to create. Drumming is also core to my spirituality. When I first started drumming, I was kind of afraid of the sound. You know, I would hit the drum and I was so wanting to be perfect and make sure that the sound was the right rhythm. I really couldn't drum at all. You know, the teacher would show me something and I could barely, you know, do anything with the drum. And I had an opportunity to rehead my drum. That means take off the skin. And so when I took off the skin of my drum to put a new one on, before I put the new one on, I wrote a prayer inside my drum. And my prayer was to let go and to allow my life to come through in my music, in the drum. And to not worry about what people are saying, including my own self. To not believe in my own mind, you know, to let that go. And I wrote that, and so I put that the skin back on. It's still in my drum. It's still inside one of the drums I have. And so once I started breathing, because you have to breathe. So once I started breathing deeply, like really breathing from down here down in the center. They call this the hara breathing, sometimes breathing up out instead of up here. Once I started breathing down here, I was able to allow my hands to do what they wanted to do, to allow my life to be expressed in the drumming. And once I allowed that, I knew no matter what sound I made, it was me. I can hear my life when I'm drumming. My father, he was a very silent person. He didn't speak English, really. He spoke Creole. He was 60 years old when I was born. My mother started a preschool so that she did not have to go away and work outside of the home. Both of my parents were religious. And they were intent on raising us in the church. Every Sunday, every Wednesday night, and if there was anything else at church, we were there and singing, you know, and singing with our hearts. I asked a lot of questions. I remember getting in trouble asking one day, I asked the preacher, I mean, we did it on cards, though, index cards. You passed them in, and I asked if Adam and Eve were the first to, you know, arrive upon the earth, and they had sons, Cain and Abel, who did they marry? Cain and Abel, you know? And so I passed that question in. And the minister was very upset. I didn't understand why. I remember feeling at that moment there was something being hidden around the religion, and that maybe because I was so curious about life and death that I wasn't going to get my answers. I did not get an answer that night. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I had a friend in school, and I begged and begged and begged my mother to let me go visit. She told me, no, you can't go. And I couldn't understand it, and I said, why? She's only lives 1 block away. And we play together at school, and so she said, you can't go. And so I said, why? And she said, because the maid told me you can't go. Their maid told me you cannot go over there. That still did not make sense to me. And so finally, you know, she looked at me, and I don't know, it was a look that she gave me. You can't go because you're black. It was just this look that said, I can't change this for you. I know she's your best friend. And that's when I started to realize life is going to be really difficult. When I was 11 or 12, there were 2 black families that moved into Inglewood, and we were one of them. The black neighborhoods were very close, but there is an invisible border. You don't cross here. You don't buy a house over here. And a cross was burned on our grass one morning, and this is how we were shown we were not welcome in this neighborhood. But we stayed there, and we had to go to school. And so that was really frightening. The church was the place I felt safe. It was my tribe. Everyone knew me from the moment I was born. And so I feel like I was completely blessed to be raised in a black church in which I could still hold my dignity as a human being. And there I was human, despite all the dehumanization that was going on with me Monday through Friday. puku musafu kudene ibu norakyo. I was very active in the church until my late 20s. There was some kind of uncomfortableness for me. I wanted to explore more about different spiritualities. I could still feel that I needed something. I found myself around friends who were talking about this practice where you chant, saving all beings. So my friends who were involved in this practice, Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, and I was curious about it, but not interested in chanting something that sounded like magic, or you rubbed Aladdin's lamp and all of a sudden your life was, going to be perfect. While I was still a practitioner of Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, I had a spiritual lucid dream. I was told some messages that I interpreted as medicine for the world. In the dream, the words black angels were said. I remember those words. And I wasn't sure what it meant because I really wasn't into angels. Try now, then listen. I want to tell you about a dream. And I want to tell you about the medicine that came with it. And by medicine, I mean that which is inside us, that we are born with, that we can use to heal ourselves. After the dream, I wrote down this dream, which eventually became this project called the Black Angel Oracles, 36 cards, and it's a book. So I'm doing the third unfolding. You can ask the oracles to help you. Try now. And I created a CD to help explain it a little bit more. The cards are to help to, you're working toward your true nature. Mm-hmm. And so since you're closer to it when you're a child, you're probably going back to that place and trying to remember something of yourself that got taken away as you go to school or, encounter people and in places as you grow up. So trying to bring you back. The card to help stimulate, not just past experience, but past essence, like any of your old understanding. Can we take this? No need to work hard at it. Just go. Yeah. Take that. No more working hard. Life coaches, psychologists, psychiatrists, diversity trainers are using them. People in human resources use them. Oprah Winfrey has a deck, and Maya Angelou has a deck, and Toni Morrison has a deck, and it came out of Buddhism. It came out of Dharma. My writing is the most developed piece in my life, and I feel like I will be continuing doing some Dharma books relevant to my experience that I live, so that they're books that, that to me, most anybody could, especially like my sister, could understand and relate to. A book that my sisters could relate to. I would say that my base spiritual community is the San Francisco Zen Center, where my teacher is. Zenke Blanche Hartman is my Soto Zen teacher. When I first met Blanche, I thought she was going to be tough and mean because she had this sort of like a frown on her face. And I kind of kept my distance, but, you know, she smiled every now and then. Two other priests supported Blanche in raising priests of color. The three of them together, I call them the radical, the radical wild women of Zen, because they were willing to step out and to embrace people who were different than who were at the Zen Center. They experienced probably some oppression themselves in the Soto Zen world, being that it was predominantly men. And so these women were strong women who were teachers that had a lot to give. And so when they saw people of color coming in, they saw themselves in us.
I take refuge in Buddha.
I take refuge in Buddha.
I take refuge in Dharma.
I take refuge in Dharma.
I take refuge in Sangha.
I take refuge. How your life sounds today, in this moment. No stories. No pain in the rhythm. Just life as we know it. I definitely would like to sit with people, just starting with just a very slow rhythm, you know, just something that everyone can do. And then usually when you add something else, that's when people go, uh-oh, and they start thinking, and then they're not doing it right. And so the one first thing you deal with is being exposed, right? Uh-oh, I'm exposed. I didn't do that right. First, I'm exposed, then I didn't do that right. Well, so in Buddhism, that's the first thing you have to be, is exposed. You cannot be helped, taught, healed, transformed, or anything unless you're exposed, unless you are naked, unless you are at the place where you don't know. So it's that best place to be. And sometimes they call that beginner's mind. And that's not knowing. And that's a wonderful place to be. So I celebrate it when I help them celebrate that moment, you know, so that even if they are learning something, then the next step is listening, you know, but the first step maybe is just sitting with not knowing and feeling you're wrong, or it's not enough, or you didn't, you need to go do something else. You need to go hide until you get it right, and that is not the way of the path. If you're going a hide to do your practice in the closet, you have a closet practice. It doesn't work in the world. Other people need you, need your energy. We need each other. And so that's and the drum helps you kind of do that with other people. You're not alone and you're not hiding, So I think the drum has a lot, is a great way, a great path to learn the teachings. Now it's opposite from being silent. That's not to say to take away silent meditation, because it has been very powerful for me to sit in my silence, to sit and watch my life unfold. I was a slow bloomer. I just started dating when I was 21, and it wasn't too exciting to me. Not as exciting as it was to my girlfriends. I should say that. They seemed more excited about it than I did. And so I, kind of figured that relationship wasn't my primary, path in life. I wasn't sure. I didn't think I'd ever get married, have kids. But I feel like I kind of came to work on spirituality. Eventually, I decided to explore relationships with women. And that was a really difficult journey. Again, it was sort of like leaving the church and leaving what I knew, my tribe and my church. I'm sure there were people who were definitely necessarily not completely heterosexual, but it wasn't talked about, and I wasn't given any good, models around that, or any kind of a good sign that was a good thing to do in my life. So it took me a long time to accept that I could be bisexual, So that in my practice actually opened that up for me, that I was. It was a freedom, but freedom doesn't always feel good. So, and so that's something that I think people think, sometimes liberation, when I'm liberated, it'll all be good. Not like, but sometimes freedom's a hard thing to be. And so that's why you have to be in communities that are awakened and understand. Sisters of the Drum is a group that was co-founded by Simbwala Schultz, my partner, and myself. We are African American women, and we perform West African and Congolese rhythms and some of our own. We perform at ceremonies and rituals, and we have our own concerts every now and then when we're feeling really good, I guess. And so I've had a drum sangha, and able to be in community and learn. that's what Sisters of the Drum has been about for me, that way of being part of a transmission, that needs to continue, and I'm hoping that transmission continues in other ways too. By the time I was ordained, my sister and other people, they understood and they began to read a little bit more and wanting to know a little bit more. There is a way that I can be in the world and be in my heart. And I really feel that that's what we need as Black people. That we need to be in our hearts, to truly heal them, and that we need to be it in a way that we feel liberated, that we're coming back to our true nature. Our true nature is not violence. That is not us. Our true nature is not to be drugged out. That is not us. I know where we came from, and I know who we are, and we know who we are. And I definitely think that Buddhism and Dharma has something to contribute to bringing us to that place.
Clear your shapes and sway your halyards. Swing around and let her go. Roll and roll.
My answer to my younger sister was that Buddhism was about suffering, and that's what Black people had in common with Buddhism. That Buddhist teachings speak to liberation, speaks to all beings. And that is a practice that if it probably didn't speak to liberation and freedom, I would not probably be a part of it. And that perhaps as a priest that I could be one of those people that could help heal the suffering that we have endured for so many centuries.
Wilt u naar aanleiding van deze uitzending reageren of een gratis programmagids bestellen? Bezoek dan onze website boeddhistischeomroep.nl. DVD's van onze programma's kunt u bestellen op 010 411 3977.